You ever have one of those great ideas? You know the one. It's scribbled in a notebook or just sitting there in your phone's Notes app, waiting for that magical someday. The problem is, most of us get stuck. Like, where do you even begin? That feeling of paralysis is exactly what we're tackling today.
Okay, let's just dive right in with a pretty stark number. The harsh reality is that about 90% of all startups fail. That is a huge, intimidating figure. I mean, it's enough to make anyone just put that notebook right back in the drawer.
So why? Why do so many fail? Is it because they're all just bad ideas? Not even close. The truth is, most startups don't fail because of a bad idea. They fail because they follow a broken process. They end up building something that nobody actually wants.
And right here, this is the fundamental shift in thinking. The old way was, you'd disappear into a cave, build the perfect product in secret for months, and then launch it with this big reveal, only to hear crickets. The lean startup, it flips that script completely. It's all about learning first and then building second.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start by looking at that old, broken way. Then we'll dive into the core solutions, starting small with something called an MVP, using the Build, Measure, Learn engine, knowing when to make a smart shift, and finally, tracking the metrics that actually matter.
All right, let's start by diagnosing the problem. This is the traditional and, frankly, deeply flawed approach that has sunk countless promising ideas.
This process probably sounds painfully familiar. First, you write a massive detailed business plan that's just full of assumptions. Then you hire people, spend a ton of money, and you work in total isolation for months, sometimes years, polishing every last detail. And then, the grand launch. The problem is, you've spent all this time and energy without ever stopping to ask the most important question. Does anyone actually care?
So if that's the wrong way, what's the right way? Well, it all starts with a concept that has absolutely revolutionized how businesses get built: the minimum viable product.
Now, the crucial point here is this. An MVP is not just a smaller, crummier version of your final product. Its main purpose isn't to sell, it's to learn. So what is the absolute bare minimum you can create to find out if you're on the right track?
And this is just a brilliant example. Dropbox didn't start by building some complex, expensive file syncing infrastructure. Nope. They started with a simple 3-minute video that just showed how the idea would work. They were testing one core assumption. Do people even want this? And the thousands and thousands of signups they got overnight was a massive yes.
Here's another fantastic one. The founder of Zappos wanted to test if people would actually buy shoes online. So did he build a giant warehouse and a massive inventory system? No way! He faked it. He took pictures, posted them online, and when someone bought a pair, he literally ran to the store to buy it and ship it himself. He was testing the core idea with almost zero upfront investment.
I absolutely love this metaphor. Stop dreaming about the perfect, finished castle. That can come later, maybe. For now, just build a simple tent. Get it up quickly, see who shows up, and most importantly, listen to what they have to say.
Okay, so you've built your tent. Now what? Well, now you need an engine to drive it forward. And in the lean startup, that engine is a simple but really powerful feedback loop.
This right here is the heartbeat of the lean startup. You build a small thing, your MVP or a new feature. You measure how people actually use it, looking at real data, not just what they say. Then you learn from that data. And here's the key. You repeat the cycle over and over and over. See, most people get stuck on build.
Airbnb is a perfect case study for this. In their early days, they just couldn't get any traction. They thought the problem was the website, so they kept tweaking it. But by actually measuring user behavior, they had a huge learn moment. The real problem was the amateur, dark photos on the listings. So what they do? The founders flew to New York, rented a camera, and took professional photos themselves. And guess what? Bookings immediately skyrocketed. The lesson wasn't about code. It was all about trust.
But what happens when the data tells you something you really don't want to hear? I mean, what if your core idea is just wrong? That's where you need the courage to make a smart shift.
Look, a pivot isn't failure. It's not giving up. It's an intelligent, strategic change of direction based on what you've learned. It's about admitting, hey, my first guess was wrong, and then using that knowledge to form a new, better one. And get this, some of the most successful companies in the world are the result of a brilliant pivot. Twitter, it started as a podcasting platform called Odeo, but then iTunes came along and basically made that business obsolete.
Instagram started as a really complicated location-based app called Bourbon, but the founders noticed people were only using one little feature, the photo filters. In both cases, they didn't cling to the original idea. They followed what was actually working.
So you're learning, you're iterating, maybe you've even pivoted. But how do you know if you're actually making progress? You have to be tracking the right numbers. Okay, this is a really critical distinction. On one side, you have vanity metrics. Things like social media likes or total registered users. They feel good, they look good, but you can't really make decisions based on them. On the other side, you have actionable metrics. These are the numbers that reveal the true health of your business. They tell you a story and guide your next move.
First up, conversion rate. Think of it like this. If 1,000 people visit your website, how many of them actually do the thing you want them to do, like buy something or sign up? This one number is a super powerful indicator. It tells you if your core idea and your message are actually connecting with people. A low conversion rate is a huge red flag that something in that journey is broken.
Next up is retention. Simple question. Do your customers stick around? Because you can get 1 million new users, but if they all leave after a week, you don't have a business. You have a leaky bucket. High retention means you've created real, lasting value, and that is the foundation of any truly sustainable business.
Cost per acquisition basically tells you if you can actually afford to grow. If you spend $50 on ads to get one new customer who only pays you $30, well, you're not building a business, you're lighting money on fire. Knowing your CPA is what gives you permission to step on the gas and scale up without going broke.
And finally, there's churn. This is pretty much the opposite of retention. It's the rate at which your customers are leaving. For any subscription or membership business, churn is the silent killer. It quietly eats away at your growth from the inside out. Even if you're bringing in new customers, a high churn rate can mean you're just running in place.
So, we've covered a lot. From that broken old way to this smart, iterative process of learning and adapting. Really, the only thing left is to take that first step. Don't think about the castle. Forget the perfect business plan. Just ask yourself this one simple question. What's the first tiny tent you can build for your idea right now?